That's number one. You kind of reset.
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
Same shoulder length, and the other. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Real Health with Brandi and Amir. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor, and Brandi Rashidian is the other half and the ruler and king of the universe, queen of the universe, sorry.
Ooh, that was so close.
King and queen. You know, in my language, it's actually no. We do have queen in my language.
But you don't have
birth
he or
language.
she.
No, we don't. So
Yeah.
that's why you'll see my mom and aunt always mess up.
Yes.
Call the boys she and call you he and
Yes.
all that stuff.
I'm used to
Anyways,
that.
it's a language thing.
Hey,
But
here's something cool. We were at the home show last weekend.
that's right.
We had an event, and we
Home
always
and
go out.
Garden Expo in Frederick, Maryland.
Yeah, it was so fun. We love going out there every year, and it was very fun because we had several people who actually came up to us just to say hi, and they listened to our podcast. So
Yeah, that was neat.
yeah, it was really fun. So thank you for listening,
Yeah.
and thank you for coming and telling us that you listen.
So we'll
And
let you know where we're going to be in case you want to stop by and say hi. So the next event is the Frederick Running Fest.
Yep, on May 4th. May 4th, Saturday, May 4th. So that's where we'll be.
That's at the fairgrounds.
That's at the fairgrounds also.
All
So
right.
that's when all the runners come and pick up their bibs and all their information pack, and then they get to walk past us and say hello, and
Yeah.
we can help them with their health. So that's fun.
And Sean was talking about one day maybe doing a live broadcast of our podcast.
That
So
would be fun.
That could be cool. Well, we'll invite some of you to come join us in person,
Yeah.
in studio audience. And
Now I'm
you guys
nervous.
can ask questions, and that might be a little longer format, maybe an hour instead of 30,
Yeah.
45 minutes. But
That'll be fun.
yeah, so hopefully we'll do that. But the Real Health Podcast is where we look at what's the latest in the news regarding health. And we read the articles, we summarize them for you, we discuss them and give you our perspective from a wellness perspective point, a natural health standpoint, no
Yep.
drugs, no surgery. And you know, our purpose for doing this is so we can help you feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger.
And at least know what questions to be asking so that you can make great decisions for you and your family regarding your health. There's a lot of information that's out there, but sometimes it's really hard to parse through. It's hard to figure out what's an article is really trying to say, or and knowing if that research is there other research that supports a different thought process. So it's always good to ask questions. We live in a world where it's okay to do that. We should be doing that. And our health is our responsibility.
Yep.
And so nobody else is going to get you healthy or keep you healthy. You have to be the one to
That's right.
take the actions to
And
make that
everything is
happen.
biased,
Yeah.
including us. We're biased towards no drugs and no surgery.
Yeah,
I mean,
unless
that's
you have
our
to.
bias. But articles, media, everything's biased. They have stakeholders and advertisers that they need
Yeah.
to police. They're not allowed to say certain things. If they do, they get canceled and so on. And so would we.
Yeah.
So we try to get it to you as much as we can. And sometimes you have to read between the lines when we say something. But we are who we are. So hopefully this benefits you. And what do you think we jump right in?
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
think so.
I think the first one we should start with is there was some Medicare and medical billing fraud.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily health related, but it is because it tells you the motivation of your primary care doctors and your healthcare practitioners and the kind of stuff they have to deal with and so on. I'll tell you right up front, before we left the system, by the system, I mean we were in network with a couple of insurance companies. We
Not all of them. We were
participated.
choosy.
Yeah, we did participate with a few. And I'm telling you, the system pushes you to want to commit fraud because they restrict reimbursement at such high levels
Yeah.
that it's hard to make a living as a practitioner. So,
Well, and then also, like in what we're going to see in this first article, is these managed organizations, these organizations that are there to ensure that providers are doing certain things in certain ways. They want to give these guidelines. They create these systems to give guidance to providers, right? Not saying, hey, you're the doctor, go ahead and you prescribe what you truly believe this patient needs. That is not the world we live in, Right now, we say, go ahead and look at this patient and then let my business partner over here know how much that's going to cost. And we'll let you know whether or not that's okay for the patient and whether you
Right.
should move forward. So it's really no surprise that we're sitting here reading, getting ready to touch on this article. And this larger organization really wants to make the providers out to be the bad guys. And I'm going to tell you, in this situation, while I'm sure there are providers that maybe don't have the best interest of their patients at heart, because there are those kind of people in every field, right? So we have to know they do exist in medicine as well. Just like there are probably some in chiropractic. It just, everywhere you're going to have people that don't have the right motives. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. And this one is making the providers look like they're the ones that are doing the bad stuff, when it's really the guidance and what they're told to do. When if I have a patient walk into our office and I go, hey, listen, this is what the insurance tells me, and then the patient calls the insurance company, that's not the same information they're going to get.
That's
So
right.
there's different, the communication and the information and how it's issued out and who it's issued out to. It is such a confusing mess for providers and patients alike. And it's meant to be that way because there's only one person that the insurance companies truly care about, and that's themselves and their bottom line. It's their shareholders. And so it's sad, but this is where we are. This is our medical world.
So the article is from Medscape, and the title says largest U.S. independent primary care network accused of Medicare fraud. A Maryland firm that oversees the nation's largest independent network of primary care medical practices is facing a whistleblower lawsuit alleging it cheated Medicare out of millions of dollars using billing software, rigged to make patients appear sicker than they were. And this is what I was talking about, is the sicker
Yeah.
your patient is, the more money the doctor makes. And that just doesn't seem fair. I mean, it almost incentivizes them to make your records look like you are deathly ill
Well, it's
when you
definitely
may
not
not be.
incentivizing them to get you well
Right.
and keep you well.
But then, these are the medical records that go
They follow you.
Yeah, they follow you. So then you want to get life insurance and they go, "Oh, it says you have this illness."
Yeah. God
Because
forbid you have to try to get insurance outside of an employer. You're
Right.
going to really struggle to do that, or you're going to end up being on a government funded plan, which we know
Right.
does not take care of you.
So it says the civil suit alleges that Alidate Inc.'s billing app and other software and guidance provided to doctors improperly boosted revenues by adding overstated medical diagnoses to patients' electronic medical records. For example, the suit alleges that Alidate conflated anxiety into depression, so that the doctor would say anxiety, and then the software comes up with a code to code for that, because insurance companies only look at numbers. So
Right.
that code, they would flip it from anxiety to depression, which could boost payments by $3,300 a year per patient.
It's tremendous.
And
That's a
Alidate,
tremendous jump.
Alidate decided that patients over 65 years old who said they had more than one drink per day had substance use issues, which could bring in $3,680 extra per patient.
Right.
The
Now,
whistle,
depending on who gets a hold of your medical records, that difference right
Oh, yeah.
there, a one drink
Oh, yeah.
versus you have a
and
challenge
all these people that's following them,
for their lifetime.
God forbid there's some kind of a legal issue. You get sued by somebody. They're going to
Correct.
pull up your medical records and say, "Oh, you also have substance abuse issues," when you
Right.
didn't, but it's because the doctor wanted to make more money.
Yeah.
The whistleblower case was filed by Kushwinder Singh, that's his name, in federal court in Seattle in 2021, but remained under seal until January of this year. Singh, a senior medical director of risk and wellness product at Alidate from January 2021 through May 2021, so he only worked there for 4 months, alleges the company fired him after he objected to its fraudulent course of conduct. Julie Bataille, Alidate's senior vice president for communications, denied the allegations, saying in an interview that the whole case is totally baseless and meritless. Based in Bethesda, Maryland, Aledade helps manage independent primary care clinics and medical offices in more than 40 states, serving some 2 million people. Aledade is one of hundreds of groups known as Accountable Care Organizations, or ACOs. They enjoy strong support from federal health officials who hope they can keep people healthier and achieve measurable cost savings.
Okay, let me just explain a little bit about what.
Yeah, I remember like 10, 15 years ago, ACOs were the thing because a lot of medical doctors, primary care doctors, were being strong-armed into joining larger organizations. So, like the local hospital would kind of come in and buy out
you out.
every primary care practice. And so if they didn't want to be part of that or they didn't want to be bought out, have some kind of independence, they would join the ACOs.
Well, and the ACO is accountable care organization. So it's really another type of management similar to how an HMO would be managed. However, what they do is they actually take these groups and sometimes provide funding up front for them to update their infrastructure, hire more people, do things so they can take care of these larger number of Medicare patients. And then they'd flat fee them. So instead of it being a fee for service, they do a flat fee per month per patient that is your Medicare patient. And your goal is to try to see them for that flat fee or less, right? Because then that savings either comes back to the clinic itself or goes into an ante, which is split amongst all the ACOs. So the challenge with this is we are again incentivizing doctors to do as little possible. I understand that they're trying to what they say they're trying to do, which is reduce overall errors and reduce unneeded procedures. But that's not what ends up happening with something like that. And that's what's a shame, is that the patient is the one that always suffers, because the bottom line of this is the insurance company saving money. It's just a roundabout way to do that, and now they're using the providers to basically do the dirty work.
Right.
So, and I just don't like this at all.
Yeah, I mean they're changing the coding, they're changing the diagnosis and prognosis and treatment plans for these patients when the doctor said something else.
Yes.
So, and then they blame it on the doctor, and they claim that all doctors are independent and they make their own decisions.
Correct. And patients have no idea that what we're told by certain insurance companies, and then, like I said, what then they call and what they're told are two very different things. Sometimes patients are told, I don't even know if the customer service people have any idea about how Medicare insurance is processed.
Do you remember we had a patient who went to a podiatrist, and the podiatrist gave a diagnosis for both of his feet, but they only examined one foot?
Oh, you mean the one where the doctor actually never even examined either foot, but there was an injury to one. They said they examined both, but hadn't examined, the doctor never even took the kid's sock off.
Right. And that could be one of these things where like maybe the doctor did like coded it for a brief evaluation just orally, but then the software might have changed it and said, hey, you'll get more money if you say you examined both feet.
Right.
And this was a child.
Yes.
And the parents. So listen, so here's what you do. Make sure when you go to a doctor, you ask for your medical records and read the doctor's notes and look at the codes they use. All codes come with a description next to it. If they don't have a description, Google it. Very easy.
Or ask them to provide that data. And then if there's any errors in your medical record, please ask them to correct it and to reprint it for you. It is possible. Doctors are humans, right?
Sure.
And they can make mistakes.
Yes.
Like honest, legitimate mistakes. And when doctors do that, they are and should be willing to just make that correction. We all know everyone is human. We actually print off our patient's first visit.
We don't even wait for
them.
we won't wait for you to ask for it. We print it and give it to you right off the bat.
and say, read through this and make sure
Yeah,
everything is accurate. Is there anything I missed, or is there anything that is
exactly.
inaccurate so I can fix that? This is someone's
Yeah.
permanent medical record. It is very important. The accuracy
Every
is,
one of our patients gets their records
yes,
printed and handed to them. What they do with it is up to them.
correct.
And some of them may not read it, but at least they have it. All codes, everything's in there.
Yeah, so ask for that. It is your record and it is permanent. And once it's there, it can't be changed. And so there are things you want to make sure don't follow you
Right,
if it's
especially
not
if it's
truth.
being submitted to your insurance company. Aledade was co-founded in 2014 by Farzad Mostashari, a former health information technology chief in the Obama administration, and has welcomed other ex-government health figures into its ranks. Aledade has grown rapidly behind hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital financing and was valued at $3.5 billion in 2023.
So I find this so fascinating that that the government did not end up picking up this case.
Yeah.
And now we see probably why. Foundationally, there's a lot of people involved in Aledade and
Yeah.
what's going on. So
The lawsuit has also named as defendants 19 independent physician practices, many in small cities in Delaware, Kansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. According to the suit, the doctors knowingly used Aledade software to trigger illegal billings, a practice known in the medical industry as upcoding. None has filed an answer in court. So was it the Department of Justice? But yeah, like you said, and they said that us not taking, the government not getting behind this and filing, criminal charges against these people doesn't validate or invalidate the suit, which
right.
this was the only statement
Which I find really interesting because Cigna just paid out, and this is in the article as well, that Cigna actually paid out recently $37 million to settle a similar case, and they paid that to the government.
Wow.
So, but don't worry. I don't want you to be worried about Cigna because their net profits last year for their shareholders were $52 billion. So they're okay. But just FYI.
Wow. That's like if you have $52,000 and you have to give someone $37 for a speeding ticket.
Right.
You don't mind it if you have $52,000 in the bank in savings.
Yep. But it is curious as to why they want Cigna to pay $37 million to cover the cost of, reimbursing for basically, upcharging on their claims, but no one's touching Aledade.
Yeah, I mean, the suit says Aledade encouraged doctors to tack on suspect medical diagnoses that paid extra money. Aledade called it finding the gravy sitting in the patient's chart. The company instructed providers to diagnose diabetes with complications, even if the patient's diabetes was under control or the complicating factor no longer existed. Some medical practices in Delaware, North Carolina, and West Virginia billed the inflated code for more than 90% of their Medicare Advantage patients with diabetes, according to the suit. The lawsuit also alleges that Aledade rigged the software to change a diagnosis of overweight to morbid obesity, which could pay about $2,500 more per patient. Some providers coded morbid obesity for patients on traditional Medicare at 10 times the national average, according to the suit. So there's millions of dollars in increased revenue because of all of this. And in its statement to KFF Health News, Aledade said its software offers doctors a range of data and guidance that helps them evaluate and treat patients. So they're being guided, but
it's
not
their
forced.
fault. But they're still blaming the provider.
Aledade's independent physicians remain, this is their statement, so they're claiming that Aledade's independent physicians remain solely responsible for all medical decision-making for their patients. Mm-hmm. But it also said they're automatically change and upcode things.
Correct.
But they're saying it's not us, it's the doctor.
Correct.
Singh, the whistleblower, argues in his complaint that many unsupported diagnosis codes were added during annual wellness visits and that they did not result in the patients receiving any additional medical care. Wellness visit means there's nothing wrong with them. They're coming
Correct.
in for a regular visit,
Correct.
and they were making them look sick. Well, that's the part of system that bothers me, is that doctors are incentivized to find something wrong with you so
Yeah.
they can make a little money.
Right. Well, and let's all also remember Alidade is supposed to be part of the ACO, right?
Yes.
It's an ACO. However, they decided to extend and start seeing the Advantage Medicare plan patients,
Right.
Cigna patients, which is one of the commercial Medicare plans.
Wow.
So they're an ACO, which are now going, okay, we have all the ACO, so we're getting those flat fees. Now we're going to also come in here and we're going to take these Advantage plans from the reimbursement. Just so happens, this actually just hit me as we were reading this again, is that the Advantage plan, Cigna, right, is one of the Advantage plans. So that's one of the ones, and they're the ones that were fraudulent also. So so there's a lot of interweaving going on here.
They're working together.
So very fascinating. So, just know, review your information all the time from any provider you go to. Allow them to fix mistakes. It is possible that some mistakes are legitimately just mistakes and typos.
I would say don't submit this to my insurance until I've read the records.
Oh, 100%.
Ask them to hold,
Yeah, very much. Very much. Be cautious.
All right, you want to talk about tweens using facial products that's not good for them?
Yeah.
We mentioned this last podcast. We said we'd talk about this next time. So this is from NBC News. Tweens are getting rashes from some skincare products popularized on social media, dermatologists say. A few days after she began her new skincare regimen, which is toner, moisturizer, serum, and facial mist. I don't know what these things are.
You're not supposed to.
I don't put anything on my skin. Well, I mean, water or soap. The skin around 13-year-old Leora's lips became red and dry. A couple days later, the rash turned yellow and crusty. I was touching it because it was really itchy, and then I think it got infected, said Leora. A dermatologist prescribed Leora a medication to alleviate irritation and advised her to stop her skincare routine and apply petroleum jelly until the rash cleared.
Don't use petroleum.
Yeah, because that dries your skin.
Well, it actually has PAHs in it, which is a polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which, of course, our FDA doesn't mind. But like the European Union has actually documented that it's cancer causing.
Wow.
And so I've been telling people for years, stop using that stuff.
I remember that, yeah.
There's plenty of other things that you can use as barriers or on the skin, but this is not one of them. I just want to remind everyone, before you put anything on your skin, on your kid's skin, go to, there's the nonprofit that I've mentioned a number of times, Environmental Working Group. I don't work with them, but I've used them for years. They're a wonderful...
EWG.org.
Yeah, EWG.org. And there you can look up ingredients, you can look up products, both cosmetic and cleaning products that we use every day. And you can make an informed decision. You can say, okay, I think with this, maybe this is part of my 80-20. Maybe I'm okay with this chemical, but man, I do not want that. Or know that you're going to have to make choices and limit some of these things in your life if you don't want to have that toxic overload.
Also, you absorb a lot through your skin.
Oh my gosh. It's your largest organ.
Yeah. So people think I'm not putting it in my mouth. I'm not inhaling it.
Right.
I'm not ingesting it, but you are. Yeah. You literally absorb that stuff. That's why you put something on your skin. At first it feels wet, then it dries up. What happened? Well, yes, maybe some of it evaporated, but some of it got absorbed.
Yeah.
So it gets in your bloodstream.
Actually, they say that you have the largest pores in your body are in the bottom of your feet, and you have the largest number of pores like in one area on the bottom of your feet. So when you put something on the bottom of your feet, it actually is in your bloodstream within about 5 minutes. It's very, very quick. So
yeah, and that's how fast it hits your liver too. We got into a whole conversation about this new fad preteens interested in using a lot of anti-aging products and things that they are learning about on social media. Now, why is a preteen worried about aging? That's ridiculous. In general, for the preteen population, they're layering product upon product and not really being told how to use them.
Yeah.
In recent months, tweens and young teenagers have been showing up at their offices as the dermatologists in droves with red, dry, bumpy, itchy rashes after using skincare products they don't need. Is what the dermatologists say. Kids ages 7 to 13 are clearing the shelves and makeup stores, spending hundreds on anti-aging creams, moisturizers, and acne serum from trendy and colorful brands. $100 million in revenue in 2021 from this. This is by CNBC.
And a product called Drunk Elephant. I don't think I want my teen or my
Yeah.
kid getting anything with
Oh
the
my
word drunk
gosh.
on it.
Yeah. Like many beauty products, the brand's product labels don't usually specify an intended age range, dramatically improving the appearance of skin. This is what they say: dramatically improving the appearance of skin's tone and texture, fine lines, wrinkles, and pores. It says gently smooth texture, clear breakouts, and refined pores while calming skin. I mean, it sounds like it'd be a good thing. This the Glow. The brand name on this one was Glow, similar to Drunk Elephant. Each of those two products contain exfoliating acids, which the dermatologist interviewed said are among the most problematic ingredients for young people, along with retinoids. Both types, so don't get things that have these in them, the exfoliating acids and retinoids. Both types of ingredients are intended to address issues like hyperpigmentation, wrinkles, or acne, according to this doctor, a dermatologist at UCLA. Young said Dr. Young said Leora's rash was likely caused by a combination of irritating ingredients and the over exfoliating of her skin. Leora said she got interested in skincare through YouTube and her friends. Her peers want the trendy products from Drunk Elephant and Glow Recipe in order to feel preppy and flaunt their social status.
We used to spray lemon juice on our hair and sit outside. That was our big to put highlights in our hair.
Did it work?
Mm,
They're going to do that.
we thought it did.
You recommend it?
I'm not recommending anything. I'm simply
Can
saying
I
that's
get
what I
highlights
used
with
to do.
lemon juice? Like fresh squeezed lemon juice?
Yeah, we would have lemon
pour it
juice
on-
and we put it in a spray bottle, spray our hair, and then sit out there. I won't tell you what else we put on our skin because I would not do that these days.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe you'll share on another podcast.
Yeah, we'll see.
It shows off that you have a lot of money if you buy these expensive stuff, Leora said. Retinoids, a group of chemical compounds derived from vitamin A, commonly cause issues with tweens and young teens who don't need them. The category includes retinol, which is often found in over-the-counter products and is used to reduce signs of aging. It promotes collagen production and increases the rate that new skin cells replace dead ones. Retinoids can also treat acne. Tween skin, however, naturally produces plenty of collagen. Young skin cells turn over approximately every 20 days, while adult skin can take more than twice as long. So retinol is generally unnecessary for teen skin that isn't acne prone, and it can irritate and damage the skin barrier, which acts as a first layer of defense. It can also lead to a red or brown, dry, and itchy rash called retinoid dermatitis.
So it sounds like what they're saying is you have to be cautious, especially when you're younger, but this goes with everyone on what you put onto your skin, because not only does it get into the body, into the bloodstream, which we know they're not mentioning that here, but it also removes that outer layer, like a immune system, right, to the skin.
So what bothers me is that, because our oldest is on social media now, and he just got
accounts.
He just convinced us into letting him have some accounts. This goes back to that conversation about lecturing your kids. But I wonder, if that's part of their marketing plan, is
Oh,
these
of course.
companies pay these social media
Influencers.
influencers to promote their stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And who are they promoting to is tweens. Who doesn't need the product is the tweens.
of course.
But they're the ones that
But
want to
if you
spend the
capture
money.
them young,
That's
right?
true. Yeah, mess up
Then
their skin so they need it later too.
yeah,
Exfoliating hydroxy acids, meanwhile, cause a surface layer of skin to peel to promote new cell growth. But since young skin renews quickly, these acids may damage the skin barrier, causing irritation, sun sensitivity,
yeah.
burning, and rashes. And I don't know if we need to read any more of this. There's
Just be cautious. Parents, educate your kids. Talk to them about what they're seeing and that, um, and educate them on what marketing is.
yeah. Once again,
You know?
parents should avoid retinol and exfoliating hydroxy acids.
Yeah.
Both ingredients can appear on labels with a variety of names, including retinoyl acetate or all trans retinoic acid for the former, and glycolic, lactic, or citric acid for the latter.
Yeah.
So look for those names. Do not use those products if you are 13 years old or younger.
And if you can't pronounce the ingredient, you might want to think twice anyway,
Everybody can pronounce coconut.
right? Coconut's great. Natural antimicrobials that are there, great for the skin, great for the hair. Can't really, so unless you have a coconut allergy,
May not be able to spell coconut, but you can pronounce coconut.
100%.
All right, what do you think? Do we do one more or no? We got two cool ones
don't
here,
we
and
talk
these
real-
are about individuals.
Yeah, why don't we just talk real quick about
Iron lung.
the iron lung
Okay.
gentleman? That'll kind of leave us on a
It's
kind of
from
a high note.
New York High Note.
Well, I mean,
Kind of a high note.
kind of a high
He-
note.
He just passed away, this gentleman.
Which is very sad.
Yes,
but
he shouldn't have lived as long as he did, which
no,
is
and look what he
which is the
did with
good
his
thing.
life.
Oh yeah,
I just think to myself, I'm
it's
like,
very inspiring.
it is very inspiring. I
Yeah.
think we can all take something from this.
Especially the last thing he says is it just it breaks my heart and warms it at the same time. So New York Times reported on this. Lawyer, author, and TikTok star spent 72 years in an iron lung. You know what an iron lung is?
I wish we had a picture. Maybe we can put a picture up. Yeah,
Sean, can you look up a picture of him in his iron lung and put it up? That'd be great.
it almost looks like this, like
It's a cylinder. It's a big
Yeah,
cylinder he lies
metal.
in, and only his head is sticking out, only from his neck, and the rest of his body is in the cylinder.
yeah,
And it decompresses and compresses air
yeah.
to pull air into his lungs. Anyways, his name is Paul Alexander. After he was paralyzed by polio at age 6, Paul Alexander was confined for much of his life to a yellow iron lung that kept him alive. He was not expected to survive after that diagnosis, and even when he beat those odds, his life was mostly constrained by a machine in which he could not move. But the toll of living in an iron lung with polio did not stop Mr. Alexander from going to college, getting a law degree, practicing law for more than 30 years. As a boy, he taught himself to breathe for minutes and later hours at a time, but he had to use the machine every day of his life. He died on Monday, which would have been a few days ago. On Monday at 78 years old, according to a statement by his brother Philip Alexander on social media. He was one of the last few people in the United States living inside an iron lung, which works by rhythmically changing air pressure in the chamber to force air in and out of the lungs. And in the final weeks of his life, he drew a following on TikTok by sharing what it had been like to live so long with the help of an antiquated machine. No official cause of death was given, but Mr. Alexander had briefly been hospitalized with COVID-19 in February, according to his TikTok account. After he returned home, Mr. Alexander struggled with eating and hydrating as he recovered from the virus, which attacks the lungs and can be especially dangerous to people who are older and have breathing problems. So a little history on him. Mr. Alexander contracted polio in 1952. I remember I wasn't alive then, but
was funny.
when the pandemic happened, you and I had a conversation. Do you remember? And I said, and you said, "Wow, they're shutting everything down. This is the worst it's ever been." And I said, "No, actually, I looked it up. Back in the early 1950s, for 2 years, everyone had to quarantine, and they shut everything down.
Yeah.
No public places were open." And I said, "That ended, and so will this."
Yes, I
Right?
remember that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure I believed you at the time, but
Right.
no, I
Well,
believed you.
Sometimes I tell the truth. Anyways, so according to his book, His book's title is 3 Minutes for a Dog: My Life in an Iron Lung. He was quickly paralyzed. Buy the book. I think it'd be cool. It'd be
Yeah.
nice to support him and his family by supporting him. He was quickly paralyzed, and doctors at Parkland Hospital in Dallas put him in an iron lung so that he could breathe. This is quoted. One day I opened my eyes from a deep sleep and looked around for anything familiar. Uh, he wrote in his book. He would write by holding a pen in his mouth.
Mm.
Everywhere I looked was all very strange. Little did I know that each new day my life was unavoidably set on a path that would become unimaginably strange and more challenging. Mr. Alexander's chest muscles were too damaged to use any other type of machine. So we have ventilators and respirators
Yeah.
now that help people breathe, but they won't work for him because
Correct.
his muscles were
We're
too
too
damaged. When he was inside the machine, Mr. Alexander needed the help of others for basic tasks such as eating and drinking. For much of his life, that help came from his caregiver, Kathy Gaines. Thank you, Miss Kathy, if you're still
Yeah,
around.
no kidding.
Nice job.
I wish they had more about her because
Yeah.
I think she sounds like the one that totally catapulted him into a life with more independence. And I just think that's amazing.
So he had 330,000 followers on TikTok. He had some emotional mental challenges because of living in an iron lung. He said it's lonely. He said as the machine can be heard. This is in one of his TikTok videos. You can hear the machine humming in the background. He said sometimes it's desperate because I can't touch someone, my hands don't move, and no one touches me except in rare occasions, which I cherish.
Man, that made me so sad when I heard that because it took me back to during the shutdown when we were still essential, so we were open every day, our normal hours, and we would have people come in and people were struggling without touch.
Yeah.
There was so much fear surrounding just giving your loved ones a hug, and we saw how difficult that was. And so people were just like, I need a hug. So them coming in for chiropractic care and actually having someone just touch them was huge.
I agree.
Huge.
He said life is such an extraordinary thing. Just hold on. It's going to get better. So back in 1946 is when he was born. And in 1952, after playing outside on a summer day, he came home with a 102-degree fever, a headache, and stiff neck. His mother wrote in the foreword of his book. It says, I had every reason to be terror-stricken, and I was, she wrote. This is his mother. Polio, the dreaded disease for every parent, was stalking through our city like a big black monster, crippling and killing wherever he went. Here was Paul with every symptom. Mr. Alexander spent several months in the hospital where he was close to dying on several occasions. Finally, one day, the doctor called us in and told us Paul could not live much longer. And if we wanted him at home with us when he died, we could take him. And I guess they got a truck to be able to transport this thing, the iron lung. When he was 8, so he lived 2 years after that incident. When he was 8, Mr. Alexander learned to breathe on his own for up to 3 minutes by gulping in air like a fish and swallowing it into his lungs, he told Dallas Morning News. Mr. Alexander told the newspaper that he was motivated to learn to breathe by a caregiver who offered him a puppy if he tried to learn to breathe on his own. He got his puppy, and it later became the inspiration for the title of his book.
That's amazing.
And the title of the book was 3 Minutes for a Dog. So he was homeschooled. He graduated high school in 1967.
He was actually the first homeschool student in Texas, I think it was, which is so neat.
Right. He went to University of Texas at Austin. He also went to Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Then he got his law degree. By learning to breathe on his own, Mr. Alexander was able to live outside the iron lung for hours at a time. Can you imagine if you had to consciously think about, I have to swallow air,
Yeah.
and just literally swallow it, like you're catching air and swallowing it, hoping it goes in your lungs.
It's nuts.
And students from his dorm would take him to class in his wheelchair. He then attended law school at the University of Texas and earned his law degree in 1984. His funeral service is scheduled for March 20th at the Grove Hill Funeral Home and Memorial Park in Dallas.
That's awesome.
He said it makes me feel like there's, when he saw that there were so many followers, he said it makes me feel like there's somebody that really cares about me.
Yeah.
I wish I could hug every one of you.
Yeah. So sad that, he finally lost his battle, but how amazing, was not expected to live past 6 years old.
Yeah.
And, he died at what, 72?
78.
Or 78. That's just amazing. And not only that, he didn't just exist. He made an effort to
Yeah.
do something with his life. He wasn't content just being in the iron lung for the rest of
He
his life.
practiced law
Yeah.
for 30 years.
It's amazing. And we all know going to law school is not easy in general. So, with having to, can you imagine having to spend that much time learning and also
Yeah.
forcing yourself to breathe
Yeah.
constantly? Like,
Remembering to swallow air.
it's amazing. Now we
Well,
have no excuse, guys.
Our condolences to his family, his niece and nephew, and his brother and brother-in-law, or sister-in-law. There was an article. I do think we should talk about this one next time. We're
Okay.
out of time, but it talks about sudden cardiac arrest. This woman was dead for 25 minutes. And now she's doing fine. But sudden cardiac arrest is a big thing these days.
It
So
is. We're seeing
we'll
it more
mention
and
that
more.
next time. We have other articles for you as well, updated stuff. So please join us next time. We just love having you, and we're grateful for you. And we'll keep bringing you, hopefully, good information that you
Yeah.
can benefit from.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And keep stopping by and saying hi to us when we're out too. We love that.
Good show.
See you next time.